secure more favorable trade terms with partners that are focused on sustainable production. The third implication, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members of Parliament, is impact on our domestic fisheries. Zambia domestic fisheries are likely to be affected by the reduction of harmful subsidies, such as those that encourage overfishing. For Zambia, the impact will depend on how the country currently applies subsidies to its fisheries sector. If Zambia is subsidizing fishing practices that lead to overfishing or deplete fish stocks, the reduction or removal of these subsidies could force reforms in the local fishing industry, which will promote the adoption of more sustainable and efficient fishing practices. However, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members of Parliament, the government may need to provide support to local fisheries to adjust to these new policies, ensuring that small-scale fishers are not disproportionately affected by these challenges. Honorable Chair and Honorable Members of Parliament, the fourth benefit will be international collaboration. The agreement sets a framework for international collaboration on fisheries management. For Zambia, it might offer opportunities to collaborate with other nations and stakeholders in addressing common challenges related to fisheries conservation, combating illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, and sharing best practices in sustainable fishing management. Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members of Parliament, in conclusion, the ratification of the Fisheries Subsidies Agreement presents both challenges and opportunities for Zambia. The country may need to adjust its fishing practices and policies, but stands to gain more from the long-term benefits of the more sustainable and equitable global fishery system. The agreement can potentially lead to improved fish stock management, enhanced market access, and environmental conservation, of which we could positively impact Zambia's economy and its people's development. Honorable Chair, furthermore, Zambia's ratification of the agreement of fisheries subsidies is an opportunity to modernize its fisheries sector while protecting vital aquatic communities and the national economy. These subsidies will not only help the country comply with global trade rules, but will also promote long-term economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and food security. Honorable Chair and Honorable Members of Parliament, we did make some recommendations to your committee for consideration. Our first recommendation was strengthening domestic fisheries management. Zambia should implement effective and sustainable fisheries management policies to ensure that local fish stocks are preserved and properly regulated, especially in light of the reduction of harmful subsidies. Zambia can adopt regulations that promote responsible fishing practices such as fishing quotas, seasonal closure, and protection of critical habitats like breeding grounds and nurseries for fish. Secondly, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members of Parliament, support to small-scale fisheries. JESUIT is of the view that the government must provide targeted support to small-scale fishers who might be negatively impacted by the removal of harmful subsidies or changes in fish practices. Zambia can invest in training, access to sustainable fishing technologies, and alternative livelihoods. Additionally, providing financial support to help small-scale fishers transition to more sustainable practices could ensure that these communities are not left behind. Thirdly, Honorable Chairperson, enhance regional collaboration. Zambia should effectively engage in regional collaboration with neighboring countries, particularly within the Southern African Development Community (SADC), to promote shared management of cross-border fisheries resources and ensure sustainable practices. Collaborating on regional fishing management agreement could help address the challenges of overfishing in shared water bodies such as the Zambezi River and Lake Tanganyika, enhancing collective sustainability efforts. Invest in research and data collection. Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members of Parliament, Zambia must increase investment in research and data collection to better understand fish stock dynamics, ecosystems, and the economic impact of fisheries. Establishing or strengthening research institutions dedicated to fisheries science and encouraging partnership with global research organizations can improve the country's ability to make informed decisions about fisheries management, sustainable quotas, and best practices. Thank you so much, Chairperson, and thank you so much, Members of Parliament.
Thank you, Justice Ara, for that very, very elaborate submission. MP, honorable members, Honorable Tayengwa.
Thank you, the chairperson, JCTR. You have not stated your position as to whether you'd want Zambia to assent or sign this treaty. Yeah, I want to know your position, because you're presenting both challenges and okay. So the other question is, if perhaps Zambia does not sign this treaty, what negative impact do you think that the fishing industry in Zambia will be affected? Then the other question is, I have not heard you talk about strengthening and building the legal framework. As you know that the aquaculture fishing industry is basically relying on the national policy that was introduced in 2022. It's running up to from 2022 to 2026, somewhere there. Now, is there a way your institution can advocate for this industry to have a legal framework, especially that if Zambia were to assent to this treaty, don't you think also that our local industry will be highly affected, looking at the other fishing industries that are being run by big companies in countries like China, Indonesia, Thailand? Don't you think that our local industry will be affected, because mostly we'll be able to see cheap fish coming from the outside world, and our industry will not be able to compete with these multinational companies? Thank you.
You may proceed to answer those questions.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Member for Kawata. So JCTR's position, when we reviewed the treaty, we are of the view that government should rectify this, because it speaks on issues around overfishing and sustainable ways of fishing. Now, you Honorable Members of Parliament, you do know that part of our provinces heavily rely on fishing as a way of doing things. So if this is rectified, I know most of it speaks about ocean, overfishing in the ocean, but in the long run, if the oceans run out of fish stocks, these multinational companies will obviously move inland into lakes and rivers. So this would protect our local economy. So JCTR is of the view that the nation should rectify this, because it will protect our local fishing economy. The second question was, if Zambia does not sign this, what treat? Well, if we don't sign, we are likely to have this is what we oversee, overfishing and unsustainable fishing practices, which in the long run will obviously get into our inland fishing bodies like Tanganyika, Kariba, and Zambezi River, which will obviously affect the livelihoods of the local people that live around that. If those fish stocks run out, those multinational obviously will move to other nations and rivers behind with nothing to speak to. Strengthening the legal framework. In our first recommendation, we did mention that there's need to review the management of fisheries, of which we feel that the legal framework, of course, needs to be strengthened to ensure that local domestic fishers are protected, and they should be able. And this is why we are also, one of the recommendations was to advocate for support to local fishers, to give them access to finances to be able to compete with international fishing organization. JCTR, as our mandate and as part of our work, we obviously advocate for proper policies, and obviously this is something that we take an interest in and start advocating for the amendment of the legal framework. Would the local industry be affected? Yes, it will be affected, and in the document we had noted that some of this, in the beginning, we may be affected, and this is why we're advocating to government and other stakeholders to ensure that our local fishers are capacity built, but also provide access to market and access to finances. You cannot compete in business if you don't have access to finances and access to market. So we obviously advocate and ensure that our local people are capacity built and also given opportunity to favorably compete with other stakeholders. Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members of Parliament.
Just for the purpose of clarification, I want you to help your committee now, or this committee, to understand, if we were to ratify this treaty, what impact will it have on a young industry like that is in Zambia? Because at the end of the day, we shall stop fishing here, and as soon as we do, the international community, those that have huge water bodies like seas, they will take advantage of the market, and this is going to completely destroy our system here in the country. So I want to find out from you, what impact will it have if we were to stop fishing here in the country? Thank you.
Any other colleagues?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Member for Magoye. So basically, the treaty is stopping unsustainable fishing practices by international multinational companies that use certain unsustainable methods to fish, where, of course, if you catch bigger fish, it would, be appropriate. But then they're practicing certain practices that will kill even the small seedlings from the ocean. So curbing this and putting in stopping these subsidies will actually benefit our local market, because for instance, if we have an investor who says, I want to start fishing on Lake Tanganyika or Lake Kariba or any of our internal water bodies in Zambia, and we don't have this treaty in place that will stop them from practicing unsustainable fishing, they will come with machinery, they will come with a lot of investment. So if they fish on a large scale, it will actually affect our local small-scale fishers that do it using canoes and the like, because in the long run we run out of fish stock. So we are of the view that if this is domesticated and rectified, it would actually benefit our local fishing community. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? If not, where am I? JCTR, we would like to thank you so much for this interaction with us. I think you have given us an eye-opener as to why we need to sign this agreement. You've outlined the benefits of us signing, and we appreciate so much. As we come to the close, we would like to withdraw the immunity so that whatever you say after this, you are on your own. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you to the members of Parliament for having us. We are always looking forward to working with the National Assembly, and we are available anytime that we are called upon. I'm with my colleague from Communication here, Honorable Chair, and he had a request, so I'll invite him to.
Thank you, Honorable Members, for facilitating this platform, and also to the Chairperson. I think this is not the first encounter we've had, and usually I'll ask for a group photo, and I hope the same spirit may be extended today.
Not a problem, we can have it just now.
Thank you so much for being with us on Parliament Television. The Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources has just concluded its business today, which is the third day in the month of June 2025. And today's witness, we had the Zambia Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, PELAM in short, and this was the country coordinator, Mr. Muketoi Wamunyima, who made his submission and interacted with the members of the committee. And later on, we had JESUIT Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR in short, and Mr. Mikozima Diadome, who is a program officer, led the group. So the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources is still considering the agreement on fisheries subsidies under the World Trade Organization. So they'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 with more witnesses. My name is Paul Sentendovi. Thank you so much for your time, and indeed not forgetting my sign language interpreter, that's Jason Manda. Join us tomorrow for more, but keep watching Parliament Television. Thank you so much for your time.